What's up, Football Daily? Today we've got another 11 for you, and this time we've constructed a team of players who overcame horrific injuries. Let's go. Goalkeeper, Petr Cech. When Chelsea picked up Petr Cech for just £7 million in the summer of 2004, no one quite anticipated the impact he would have on the Premier League. In his first season at Stamford Bridge, he conceded just 15 goals and kept 21 clean sheets, both league records. But his career was very nearly derailed following his infamous head injury in October 2006. Away at Reading, Stephen Hunt collided with Cech in the first minute, rendering Chelsea's number one unconscious. It took 5 minutes for the then 24-year-old to be taken off, and he was sent straight to hospital. Cech underwent surgery for a depressed skull fracture where it was revealed the injury almost cost him his life. This makes it all the more remarkable that just 3 weeks later the stopper was back in light training, although on medical grounds he was not cleared to play for another 3 months when he returned in his now iconic scrum cap. Upon making his comeback, Cech kept 8 clean sheets in a row, taking no time at all to get back to his best. 9 more trophies followed for him in West London, including a match-winning performance against Bayern Munich in the 2012 Champions League final. Defender Eric Abidal. Eric Abidal had already established himself as one of the world's best defenders upon moving to Barcelona in 2007. He'd won 3 consecutive Liga and titles with Lyon, followed by 2 at the Blaugrana alongside the 2009 Champions League, but he very nearly had to retire from the game abruptly in 2011. The Frenchman was diagnosed with a tumour in his liver and had surgery, drawing support from around the world, including having the words Animal Abidal on the scoreboards as arch rivals Real Madrid. 2 months later, he was back in the team, where he played 90 minutes in the Champions League final and was handed the armband by Puyol so he could lift the trophy. This wasn't the end though, as the next season, Abidal had to have a liver transplant following complications from the surgery. This effectively ended his career at the Camp Nou, but he moved back to his first club Monaco in 2013. Abidal made 26 appearances as the club qualified for the Champions League for the first time in a decade, before picking up the Greek title with Olympiacos the season of his retirement. Not a bad way to sign off. And if you want to hear more heroic footballing stories such as this, why not hit the subscribe button right now so you don't miss a thing on Football Daily. Defender Gary Cahill. He may have won everything there is to win for Chelsea and achieved a World Cup semi-final with England, but Gary Cahill had fears he may never reach those heights when it was discovered he had a blood clot in his arm in February 2010. Ahead of a mid-table clash with Fulham, the Bolton centre-back was taken ill before his arm became severely swollen. Trotters boss Owen Call anticipated the 24-year-old, who had just been called up for England, would be out for an indefinite period of time. The medication Cahill was given meant he couldn't take part in any vigorous exercise, and as a result, his hopes of making the 2010 World Cup squad almost entirely disappeared. Remarkably though, Cahill was back in training just 37 days later. He said, "Catching it so early has saved months of treatment, and if I picked up where I left off, you never know what might happen with England." Once he was back and fighting fit, Cahill played every single minute for the rest of the season, but that still wasn't enough to get on the plane to South Africa. Defender Luke Shaw. Bursting onto the scene as a 17-year-old for Southampton, becoming their youngest ever Premier League player, Luke Shaw had the world at his feet. The left-back then moved to Manchester United in 2014 for £30 million, making him at the time the most expensive teenager in history. After playing understudy to Ashley Young in his debut season, Shaw had started every game in 2015-16, making the position his own under Louis van Gaal. However, in a Champions League fixture away to PSV, he suffered a double leg break following a challenge from Hector Moreno. The 20-year-old received oxygen in the 10 minutes it took to safely get him off the pitch. During his recovery, Shaw missed 51 matches for the Red Devils, not playing again until the next season. He may not have been massively fancied by Jose Mourinho for his 2.5 years in charge, but like much of the Manchester United squad, he has had a resurgence since the appointment of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. While Shaw has still only made 8 appearances for the national side at the time of recording, continuing this form will surely see this number rise rapidly. Midfielder Marco Reus. Marco Reus is one of European football's biggest physio room victims, suffering 45 separate injuries of varying scale over the last 8 years. And the most serious was the cruciate ligament rupture he suffered during Dortmund's 2-1 victory over Frankfurt in the DFB Pokal final in May 2017. This injury saw him miss 220 days of action and the vast majority of the 17-18 campaign. His poor luck has seen him miss 3 international tournaments and only accrue 37 Germany caps over 8 years. One fewer than Joshua Kimmich, who is 5 years his junior and only made his debut in 2016. A crying shame for a supremely talented footballer. But come 2018-19 and the Dortmund talisman seemingly found a second lease of life. At the time of recording, he has contributed to 19 goals in 19 games for Die Borussen as they mount their first meaningful title challenge in years. However, at the beginning of February, a hamstring injury for Royce coincided with the club's downturn in form, as they exited the Pokal, lost 3-0 to Spurs in the Champions League, and let Bayern get to within 3 points of them. Clearly, the last thing BVB need is another lengthy layoff for Royce. Midfielder Santi Cazorla. Joining Arsenal in 2012, Santi Cazorla missed just 8 league matches in his first 3 seasons, scoring 23 and assisting 30, with no one setting up more goals. Cazorla began 2015-16 in the same form, being the first player in the league to complete 1,000 passes. However, problems began when a knee injury ruled him out for 6 months. Once back fit, the fan favourite began the following season well before injuring his Achilles tendon in the Champions League in October 2016. Cazorla went on to have 8 operations in 2 years and contracted gangrene, which doctors feared could have cost him the ability to walk. This required a skin graft, which means Cazorla's tattoo of his daughter's name on his left arm now appears on his right ankle. 618 days and 102 matches later, Arsenal made the difficult decision not to renew his contract at the end of 2017-18. Now in his 3rd stint at Villarreal, Cazorla has defied medical experts, having already made more appearances in 18-19 than in any campaign since that first injury. When he netted a brace against Real Madrid in January 2019, his first in over 4 years, the whole footballing world couldn't help but smile. Midfielder Aaron Ramsey. Now at the peak of his career and on the move to Italian giants Juventus, Aaron Ramsey's impact for Arsenal cannot be questioned. However, that would have seemed a very long way off for the Welshman when he was at his lowest in 2010. A tackle by Stoke City's Ryan Shawcross left a 19-year-old Ramsey with a double leg break just as he had broken into the first team and become a regular under Arsene Wenger. The club's belief in the midfielder was always unwavering as he signed a long-term contract during his recovery process. It was exactly 9 months later that Ramsey next took to the pitch, before loans to Nottingham Forest and Cardiff helped him regain his match fitness. Since 2011, he's made over 300 appearances for the Gunners and scored 59 goals, including the winners in both the 2014 and 2017 FA Cup finals, as well as playing a key role in Wales's run to the Euro 2016 semi-finals. The horrific injury Ramsey suffered on a cold, wet night in Stoke may have stunted his rise slightly, but you can't say he hasn't hit the heights expected of him. Midfielder Francesco Totti. Completing our midfield, playing in a slightly unfamiliar position, is El Bimbo de Oro, Il Capitano, Il Gladiatore, the incredible Francesco Totti. The captain had already made 393 appearances for the club over 13 full seasons and led them to a first Scudetto in 18 years in 2001, securing near-mythical status amongst the Giallorossi faithful. But a rough challenge left the Roman with a twisted ankle, fractured left fibula, and his season in tatters. In Totti's absence, the side fell apart, winning just 4 of their final 12 league games to finish 12 points behind champions Inter. But that summer, he somehow managed to defy logic and all medical predictions by appearing in all 7 of Italy's World Cup matches despite having metal plates and screws in his ankle. And he showed that his quality remained undimmed with a tournament best 4 assists. In May 2017, Totti hung up his boots 11 years after his injury, having made 183 more appearances and scored 169 more goals than anyone else in Roma history, whilst also winning a World Cup. Absolute legend. Forward, Nwankwo Kanu. Nwankwo Kanu won just about everything there is to win in world football. The Nigerian has a Champions League, UEFA Cup, 3 FA Cups, 2 Premier Leagues and an Olympic gold medal across a career that saw him represent the likes of Ajax, Inter Milan and Arsenal. But it was so nearly over before it began. Back in 1996, the newly signed Inter Milan player was lying in bed with his wife Amara when she noticed the striker's hammering heartbeat. It turned out Kanu needed life-saving open heart surgery to fix a heart valve defect. It took him a year to recover and he eventually featured for the Nerazzurri before being picked up by Arsene Wenger for £4.15 million. Determined to make a difference, he opened the Kanu Heart Foundation in 2000, which has so far helped save the lives of over 550 underprivileged children across Africa. Forward, Ronaldo. As his nickname suggests, Ronaldo was quite simply a phenomenon. 6 foot tall, capable of a 10.3 seconds 100 metres, and with the feet of a ballet dancer, by the age of 23, Ronaldo had broken the world record transfer twice, won 2 Ballon d'Ors, and scored over 200 career goals. But his career was unfortunately blighted by a series of injuries. His former physiotherapist, Nilton Petrone, has since explained that the Brazilian suffered from a problem called trochlear dysplasia, which destabilises the relationship between the kneecap and the femur. On November the 23rd, 1999, with his knees already being monitored by Inter, he suffered his first injury. He returned for the Coppa Italia final later that year, coming on for Adrian Mutu in the 58th minute with Lazio 2-1 up. Just a few minutes later, he ripped the entire tendon in his knee, causing his kneecap to explode and end up in the middle of his thigh, an injury which Nilton describes as the worst he's ever seen. He missed the entirety of the 2000-2001 season, but battled back to make the World Cup, where his 8 goals, including 2 in the final, led Brazil to their 5th title. The fact he was able to score another 181 goals in 315 games for club and country shows the incredible mental fortitude of the man. Forward, Cristiano Ronaldo. Everyone knows Cristiano Ronaldo as arguably the world's fittest footballer, who has played at least 40 games for 14 of his 16 completed seasons, with his 679 career goals leading to 5 Ballon d'Ors and a host of other accolades. But the man who has redefined what is physically possible for a footballer almost never got to fulfill his potential. Portugal's all-time top appearance maker and goal scorer was just a boy in Sporting's academy when the doctors diagnosed him with a racing heart. He then underwent very thorough medical examinations before the decision was taken to operate. Incidentally, this is the same condition that CR7's current Juventus teammate Sami Khedira is currently sidelined with. And thank goodness they did operate. The same affliction tragically took the life of former Man City midfielder Marc-Vivien Foe when he was playing for Cameroon in 2003, and it forced Lilian Thuram into early retirement. But as Ronaldo's mother, Dolores Aveiro, explains, after they used a laser to cauterize the source of the problem, Ronaldo was back in training a few days later, something that fans of Sporting, Man United, Real Madrid, Juventus and certainly Portugal will forever be grateful for. So I hope you enjoyed that video. If we missed anyone out, let us know in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this, don't forget to hit the like button and of course subscribe. See you next time.